Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Hat 2018. Chuck Harold, SecurityGuardRadio.com, SecurityGuardTV.com, ASISTV. Boy, that's a lot of .coms. But the best .com is DigitalShadows.com. My next guest, Rick Holland. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What do you guys do?
So I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Digital Shadows, and essentially Digital Shadows helps customers understand what their digital footprint looks like.
Oh, okay.
So that could be people selling their data, cyber criminals, it could be data that's being leaked out of their environment, it could be things happening on social media. So we really help customers understand what's going on beyond their perimeter.
And something they normally wouldn't look at. They just put things out, not really quantify it, I guess, and look at it. How do you guys do that?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. One of the things I always talk about being a security leader myself is not having good visibility into risks. And so a lot of organizations, they don't have that understanding of even what they're putting out there.
Right.
They're not familiar with that. So it's data exposure is really an interesting one. In the headlines, you see a lot of talk about Amazon S3 buckets, all this sensitive data that's come out, especially in a world of GDPR. People just don't know what's out there. And then if you think about your role as a security leader, you have very limited resources.
Right.
And if you don't have you never have a complete understanding of risk. But if you can get a little bit better, you can deploy your very limited resources a little bit more effectively.
Now, I get where you could find what you're supposed to put out. Your product, your brand, all that kind of stuff. But what about the guy, who has a bring your own device, and he's sitting in his mother's basement at 3 a.m. doing something. He's on your network, but he's really not top of the list for viewing. But can we pick up that guy? Yeah,
it's you see a lot of IoT-related things, but backup drives is an example. People don't realize when they're backing up that they have a misconfigured device, and so they back up sensitive work stuff from their work laptop, and it goes up to the internet,
right,
to the cloud, and then they're unaware of those risks that are out there. Now, one of the things we can do is identify that, try to find out who owned the document. Here's the employee's name, metadata, so that you can say, hey, did you know that you have a risk here? Maybe get some training for that staff and anyone else on the team on how to actually secure your home IT devices.
Well, it's not really, this guy's maybe not malicious either.
No,
it's usually just education and they're not paying attention or not thinking about it, and it just leaks in a way. So you're catching leaks in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one of the things that we're really good at in a bad way is blaming the user and victim blaming.
Right.
A lot of times we're not doing a good enough job of educating people about these digital risks that they have, and then putting training in place, buying tools for them to use effectively. So, it's easy to blame the victim, but oftentimes we're the one who put them in that situation.
Now, I worry about the small business that's got 10 employees and they're trying to make it, and everything's open. They don't know anything about this, but I think they're most vulnerable. And I'm assuming you're going to go for Fortune 500 companies because they have a big footprint. Mm-hmm. Are we getting to a point where companies like yourselves are going to be coming down towards the smaller guy? Because I think that's where we're most vulnerable.
Yeah, it's talk about limited resources, right? They have very, very limited resources. They won't even have a dedicated security person, probably outsource all their IT altogether. For Digital Shadows, half of our customers are sub 5,000.
Oh, okay.
So 5,000 is still a large number.
Sure.
When you're getting into the hundreds, those type of customers are really going to use our service maybe through a partner of ours or something along those lines that focuses on that size of business, a 10-person business.
Now, you said something about you don't know all the data sometimes. You don't see all the risks. What do you worry about the most as a CISO? What's your biggest concern?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, one that's kind of top of mind in general is just social engineering and business email compromise.
Yep.
Very targeted attacks. Actually, the FBI just put a notice out 2.5 weeks ago talking about business email compromise being a $12 billion in losses across the globe last year. I think 3 I think in the U.S. alone.
Yeah.
So things related to social engineering, because the humans, are the weakest link. That's why they're targeted.
Yeah.
Despite all the fancy controls we have in place, they still will go after me. I like barbecue. I'm a barbecue guy. So if somebody wanted to socially engineer me, do something about barbecue, and I'll click on it. Probably not. No one take this as an attack vector for me. So that's, I think, just in general is how do you educate your workforce? How do you try to reduce the amount of risks that are going to come from that person? Their digital footprint's another good example, right? It goes back to their home devices. They don't know that are out there. People use that for recon to then exploit the organization. So for me, I'm very focused on people and how can I secure my people in the most transparent way possible.
Now, do you get pushed back from either the different C-suites or pushback up from the end users when you say, listen, I'm the CISO, and here's what we're going to do with social engineering. When you fire the guy, you got to take his cell phone. Don't let him keep it because it's still connected. There's a lot of politics in the Internet of Things inside a corporation. And sometimes it's hard to get compliance with your internal employees.
Yeah, I think if you think of a security leader in any company and anyone that listens to your show, I think that people aspect, again, I'm trying to secure my people, but I also have to have the strong relationships with everyone, get their buy-in. Now, one of the ways that I'll often do it, and when I used to be at Forrester Research as an analyst there, I did the same thing. I would tie into things that were personally of interest to them. So it may be securing your children online.
Oh, that's a good
So
idea.
you get a hook that is, or maybe it's online banking, and it's, you could lose money if you don't use multi-factor authentication, but trying to find something that's going to help them secure their personal digital footprint.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going to have them think about that when they're in the work environment.
Excellent. Rick Holland, digitalshadows.com here, Black Hat 2018. Stop by the media room and say hi and try and get your own interview. Rick, fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on Security Guy
Thanks
TV
for having me.
and SIS
Take care.
TV. Back in a minute.